Okay, so I wanted to give you a little reminder about two very important vocabulary issues when you're talking about synthetic division. The first is factor theorem. Remember, anytime you see the words factor theorem, that is indicating to you that it wants you to do synthetic division and then make a conclusion based on what you get from synthetic division. So factor theorem simply says that if you divide p of x by x plus 4, if you get a remainder of 0, then x plus 4 is a factor of p of x. Please remember that if x plus 4 is the factor, to figure out what goes in the box, we have to find the value of x. So I'm going to have x equals negative 4. So that means negative 4 goes in my box. Now remember that my divisor is x plus 4. My dividend is what is being divided, and I'm going to put the coefficients of my dividend here. Now remember that it's very important that you have all of your powers. So we have 3, 2, 1, and 0. So we will not require that 0 placeholder for this particular problem. So we have a negative 3, negative 10, 5, and negative 12. So the first thing that we always do is bring down that first term, which in this case is a negative 3. Remember that we multiply on the diagonal and add on the vertical. So we have a negative 4 times negative 3 is 12. 12 plus a negative 10 is 2. Negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8. A negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. And a negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. That gives us that beautiful remainder of 0 that we were looking for. And it does indeed tell us that x plus 4 is a factor of p of x. Now, just as a reminder, if we want to find all the zeros of this polynomial, we know that x plus 4 is a factor. We can take our quotient and write the next factor, which is going to be a quadratic. Remember, if we start with a cubic and we draw out one factor of x, then we'll be left with a quadratic, which is going to leave us with negative 3x squared plus 2x minus 3. Now remember that this number just before the remainder should always be a constant. If it's not, then you've done something incorrect with your powers. Okay? So let's look here. We would set each of our factors equal to 0. Now here this could factor, or we would have to use quadratic formula. I'm not going to do this on this particular video, but just know that when we solve, if factoring does not work, which it won't in this particular case, then we would do quadratic formula and find those irrational or imaginary zeros. The next vocabulary that is very important is remainder theorem. Remember that remainder theorem is very similar to factor theorem. We're just not looking for it to be a factor. It just wants us to find the value of the function f of x at the value of x equals 2 or negative 2 using synthetic division. Now I know that you can do this in your calculator, you can graph it, you can plug and chug, but if you see the words remainder theorem, that is indicating to you that you must use synthetic division to solve. So if this is the value of x, remember that's what's going to go in our little box. We're going to check the coefficients of our dividend to make sure we're not missing anything. We have 3, 2, 1, and 0, so no placeholder is needed for this problem either. So we have a negative 2, 4, negative 5, and 12. So again, remember we're going to bring that first number down, negative 2. A negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 times a negative 2 is negative 16. Negative 16 plus a negative 5 is negative 21. And a negative 2 times negative 21 is 42. 42 plus 12 is 54. So we have a remainder of 54. So remember, what this tells me with remainder theorem is that the value of f at negative 2 is equal to 54. So the process is the same. It's the vocabulary that indicates what we are supposed to gather from the process. Okay?